Chapter 19, The Hollow Beneath. The wind shouldn't have burned, but it did. It slid over Decima's skin like frost with a bite. Sharp, unnatural, laced with something older than weather and colder than instinct. Magic clung to the air, but not in the way it used to. It didn't hum. It didn't breathe. It watched. Her breath caught as she stepped beyond the sanctuary's protective shimmer, where the ancient trees no longer whispered in welcome but stood silent, expectant. The world here had changed. Not visibly, but viscerally. The threads of magic beneath the surface, the ley lines that once pulsed like a living map beneath her feet, now felt frayed, like a spell unraveled mid-incantation. Something was wrong. Something was listening. She slowed, her hand lifting without conscious thought. Palm outward. Fingers spread. The veins beneath her skin flickered with a faint silver glow. Responding to her reach, she touched the weave of the world, the energetic current that had always been there, for her, even before she knew its name. But this time it pushed back. Or worse, it flinched. A crackle ran through her bones like static from a broken rune. Her breath hitched. "Daniel," she said, barely above a whisper. He appeared at her side in seconds, silent but solid, boots sinking into the damp moss. The weight of his presence steadied her, but only slightly. The sword strapped across his back didn't move, but his body was coiled, alert. His jaw clenched as he scanned the tree line, eyes sweeping for danger. "What is it?" he asked, his voice low, calm, but not relaxed. She didn't look at him yet. She couldn't. Her focus was locked on the space in front of her, on the land, that felt like it was holding its breath. "The lines," she murmured. "They're not just moving anymore. They're pulling away, like they've been tainted." "By what?" he asked. "The council." She shook her head, crouching low and pressing her bare palm to the forest floor. Her skin met cold earth, yet it wasn't cold. It vibrated. Beneath the surface, the roots of the land shivered like something diseased. "No," she said. "This isn't their magic. This feels ancient. Like something old has been feeding on the ley lines, draining them. Something that was supposed to stay buried." For a moment, nothing happened. Just the soft hush of wind through skeletal branches. Not a sound. A presence, a whisper uncoiled inside her mind, curling at the base of her skull like smoke from an extinguished candle. It wasn't a thought. It wasn't even a memory. It was a name. Aelryx. Her hand jerked away from the ground as if struck. A line of fire shot up her arm, fast, sharp, and not hers. Not the wild heat she called when spellcasting. This was older, bound magic, something broken once, and now stirring back to form. Inside her, the child moved. Not from fear, not from pain, from recognition. Decima's body went still, locked in place like a thread pulled too tight. She felt the shift ripple through her entire being, not just her magic, but her blood, her breath, her soul. She looked up sharply, and Daniel was already watching her. He saw the change before she spoke, saw the stillness, the sudden edge in her posture. "You felt something," he said. She nodded slowly, her voice quiet. A name, hidden, buried, but not gone. He studied her, tension rising in the space between them. "Say it." Aelryx. The name echoed softly in the air between them, like a forbidden spell spoken too close to a ward. Daniel's brow furrowed. "That's not anyone I've heard of." "You wouldn't have," she replied, eyes distant. The name was erased. Purged from memory, records, everything. Even I shouldn't be able to remember it. "Then how do you?" he asked. "What brought it back?" She placed a hand gently on her stomach, feeling the quiet movement beneath. "I don't know. I thought it was just a dream the first time, a flicker, a voice in the dark. I ignored it. But now, the magic in the air thickened. The forest exhaled around them like it, too, had been listening. Now it's waking," she finished. Daniel's expression darkened. "Is it coming for the child?" She hesitated. "I don't know if it's coming for him," she said, "or because of him. But either way, we're part of it now." He stepped closer. "And Aelryx? Is it a person? A spirit? A threat?" She shook her head, voice low. "I think it was once a dragon, or something more. A force that was broken, cursed, sealed, but the land remembers him. And I think—" Her voice caught. "I think so do I." Daniel lowered his voice. "Is it a person?" Decima didn't answer right away. Her fingers brushed over the faint pulse in her belly. Protective without realizing. A force. A presence. Maybe once a dragon, maybe more. I think he tried to reach for me in a dream once. Something wild. Sharp, unfinished. I thought it was just a leftover spell. But now, she met Daniel's eyes. Now it's waking. His jaw tightened. His fingers shifted closer to the hilt on his back. You think it's after the child? The question hung in the air. Then the wind shifted again, unnatural, like the breath of something ancient pulling through the trees. It wasn't cold. It wasn't warm. It had no temperature at all, just weight, like a warning before a siren starts. Decima didn't speak. She just listened. And out beyond the sanctuary, beyond the invisible ring of protection, carved into the earth with spellbound stones, something moved. Maela walked again. But this wasn't the Maela who had once stood beside them. This version wore her shape, but none of her will. Her body moved like it had been reprogrammed. Her eyes were focused but distant. The faint shimmer of flame. Beneath her skin wasn't hers alone anymore. It pulsed with something else, something darker, something borrowed. When she spoke, it wasn't her voice. You will return to her, the voice said, flowing through Maela's mouth in a tone too smooth to be real. It was like smoke pressed through silk. You will kneel. And when she takes your hand, you will end what should never have begun. Back inside the circle, Daniel turned sharply. Did you hear that? Decima didn't need to reply. It was written in her face. Her shoulders had already straightened. Her fingers glowed faintly, energy rising just beneath the skin like it was waiting for a command. We prepare, she said. And beneath them, beneath the rocks, the dirt, the layers of time and secrecy, a throne waited in the heart of the hollow. It wasn't a throne built for power. It was built for punishment. Once it had been carved from mountain bone and lit with dragon flame. Now it pulsed with something broken, something poisoned by centuries of silence. The stone around it had cracked from pressure that had no name, and at the center of that ruin, something ancient moved. Aelryx, twisted, coiled, damaged, not dead. His wings dragged along the floor behind him, burned at the edges, half torn, half healed. The light inside him wasn't fire anymore. It was molten pressure, heat without flame, pain without scream. Along the chamber walls, runes flickered, warning symbols encoded in magic, so old even the council had tried to erase them. I warned them, Aelryx rasped, dragging a claw across the stone. I warned them what would rise if she remembered. The motion carved new marks into the floor, glyphs that flared with violet light, then faded like embers drowned in shadow. He didn't need to speak aloud to see her. He saw her in the flame that pulsed through the walls. He saw her in the way the ley lines twisted above, not as she was now, but as she had once been. Before the soul binding, before the spell that fractured her name and buried her fire under human skin. She had been untamed. She had burned without apology. And she had been his. Aelryx's broken wings unfurled just slightly. Gray fire traced the cracks in his bones. They think she belongs to them now, he whispered. But blood remembers. Blood always remembers. Aelryx's claw pressed slowly into the stone. Deep, deliberate. Not just marking, but cutting. The surface cracked open with a hiss, like something exhaling from too long buried. From within the split came no fire. No cold, just hunger. A living shadow spilled out, thick and soundless. Not flame, not smoke, not even air. A force that shouldn't have existed in this world anymore. But it did. She was never theirs to begin with, Aelryx said. Behind him, something stirred in the dark. It wasn't beast. It wasn't person. It had no limbs, no face, no recognizable form. Just movement, fluid, slow, unnerving. A shape stitched from memory and smoke, drifting along the wall like it was made of breath held too long. It slid beside him and stilled, not touching, just listening. You feel it too, he said. The thing didn't speak, but the chamber responded for it. The walls pulsed once, then again, runes flaring to life in a dim sequence, like something waking from long slumber. They lit up not in colors, but in pulses of meaning, coded, ancient, sharp. Aelryx dragged another line into the stone. This time it wasn't a mark. It was a statement. A massive rune split the floor like a scar. Blood spilled from his claw, slow and steady, filling the groove. It shimmered gold for a second, before turning black and disappearing, beneath the surface. We show them what was buried. The creature beside him hissed, not angry but cautious, warning. They'll come, Aelryx said without fear. She'll come. And when she does, his voice dropped, thick with something colder than threat. The hollow will open. Above, Decima stood at the sealed stone entrance below the sanctuary. Her palm rested against it lightly, but the stone pulsed beneath her fingers like a heartbeat. No older than that. It didn't feel like stone at all. It felt like skin that remembered pain. She whispered, "This isn't a passageway." Daniel stood beside her, close enough that his heat touched her arm. "Then what is it?" Her eyes didn't leave the stone. "It's a wound." He didn't hesitate. With a flick of his fingers, a flame sparked into life above his palm and lit the torch. It caught instantly, the blue fire from his magic shimmering unnaturally in the darkness. Then we're stepping into the scar. They moved together, slow but unafraid. As they passed the threshold, the air changed. It felt charged, like walking into a place that had once held power, and still hadn't forgotten. Stone corridors curved ahead, lit only by the shifting glow of Daniel's torch, and the dull shimmer of runes, half buried in the walls. The silence here wasn't empty. It was dense, not just quiet but listening. Overhead, the roots of the forest pierced through cracks in the ceiling, like veins through broken skin. They were pale, almost luminous, stripped of bark, stripped of life, but still twitching in the presence of magic. The floor beneath them vibrated, not like a tremor, like memory. Daniel slowed. What if this was the point? What if this place wanted us to come here? "It does," Decima replied, voice steady. "But I'm not running anymore." He turned to her, the shadows from the torch cutting across his cheek. "You think it created you?" She stopped walking, looked him dead in the eye. "No," she said. "I think I created it." And behind them, the stone quietly sealed shut. The flame circled once more, then sank back into the altar, silent, obedient. Decima stepped back, her breath shaky, skin flushed like something ancient had looked through her. Daniel's eyes never left her. "You all right?" She nodded, but it wasn't convincing. "This place? It doesn't just remember. It clings." He scanned the glowing runes along the walls. "Do you think Maela will follow us here?" "She won't need to." Decima's gaze drifted toward the far edge of the chamber. "She's already part of it." Behind them, the stone shifted. Not loud, not obvious, just a pulse, a breath sliding through fractured stone. Daniel raised his blade, tense and ready. But it wasn't Maela. It wasn't even a body. It was a shadow, stitched from memory and shaped by betrayal. It moved along the chamber wall, formless, faceless, alive with the weight of everything broken and buried. Aelryx's echo. He didn't speak aloud. But Decima heard him, through the hum in her blood, the pressure in her chest, the flicker rising in her hands. "You never chose this," the voice whispered. "But it always chose you." She stepped forward, steady. "I'm not afraid of you." "No," the voice replied. "But you're afraid of yourself. Of what stirs when the world breaks around you." Daniel started to step forward, but she lifted a hand to stop him. The air thickened. The shadow held still. "What do you want?" she asked. "To be remembered." She swallowed hard. "By killing my child?" The shadow hissed, not in threat but in correction. "No, by guiding him. By reminding you what was lost when you bound yourselves to a council that forgot the flame." She moved one step closer. The echo faded, sinking back into the wall like smoke drawn through ancient cracks. But it wasn't gone. Not truly, never truly. Outside the chamber, the earth groaned. A crack split through the soil above the sanctuary, silent, but deep, like something vast and buried was beginning to stir. The protective shimmer around the ancient wardstones flickered once, dimmed and held, but only just. Maela stood above it. She wasn't panting, but her body looked hollowed out, like something else was breathing inside her. Arms lifted, palms open to the dim sky. Her fingertips glowed with flame, but it wasn't her flame anymore. It pulsed in strange rhythms, slower, heavier, threaded with something blackened and luminous, as if ash had fused with starlight. The thorn mark on her palm burned like a second heart. Her lips parted slightly. And then she spoke. Not in her own voice, not in any language the air recognized. The spell unfurled from her mouth like a smoke, serpent coiling backwards through time. It didn't rise. It sank. Deep into the roots, into the hollow, into the place where no words had dared go for centuries. Aelryx's memory had found her. Not to guide her, to tether her. The hollow beneath her widened, unseen by mortal eyes, fed by centuries of unspoken betrayals, warped truths and sealed histories. It wasn't a doorway. It was a wound, one that had never closed. Now it bled open again. The trees shivered. The light around them changed, not dimmer, not brighter, but older. As if the sun had flinched and blinked back into another age. Maela, once a sister, once a protector, lowered her arms, slowly, as if something ancient had just reassembled her from inside. Her expression was blank, her spine too still. Her eyes held something that didn't belong. She didn't collapse. She didn't scream. But whatever she had once been was gone. And when she spoke again, her words weren't just part of a spell. They were a vow. Aelryx had opened the hollow, but Maela was about to unleash it. And far beneath them, where dragonfire once lit the world and thrones were, shaped from bones that remembered, something pulsed. A bond. A legacy.
Awake!
The war it promised had only just begun. The wind had changed. Not outside, but in her. Decima stood just beyond the circle of ward stones, staring back at the place where the hollow pulsed beneath the earth. She could no longer hear Aelryx's voice, not clearly, but something of him clung to her skin like smoke. Daniel stood nearby, arms folded tight across his chest. His blade hung low at his side, half forgotten. "It's not over, is it?" "No." Her voice came quiet but certain. "It's just beginning." They didn't speak for a while. The sanctuary behind them still shimmered with weak protective magic, but both of them could feel it, the way the land had shifted, as if a new thread had been pulled loose from the weave of the world. Decima placed her hand over her belly. The pulse beneath her skin was steady, but not calm. Something in her child, or something around him, had stirred. She didn't know whether it was protection, warning, or both. "We need time," Daniel said, "to understand what we've woken, what she's become. We won't get it." Decima turned. The hollow didn't just wake for her. It called something older, something that's still tethered to me. Daniel frowned. "The dragons?" She shook her head. "Worse." A silence stretched. Then softly she added, "There's a place. I dreamed it. My dad showed me. A farmhouse. Old. Broken. But I think it's real. And I think something's hidden there. Something tied to all this." Daniel's eyes met hers. "You trust the dream?" "I don't have a choice." The shimmer in the air began to dim as the sun pushed higher over the tree line. But the memory of what lay beneath the hollow stayed sharp. Wings torn. Flame turned to ash, a voice promising ruin. Decima stepped toward the path. Her breath curled white in the morning air. "I need to see it for myself." "Then we go now," Daniel said, falling into step beside her. The wind picked up as they walked. Not loud, not violent. But it carried the scent of something scorched and sacred. Behind them, the earth exhaled once, and the hollow, though sealed for now, did not sleep.